are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 152 of the College Loop Podcast. I'm Dylan Larck, a happier Dylan Larck than usual, at Ep.152 on Twitter/X. And it is without mention that the first thing I have to talk about on this show before we get into the nitty-gritty, awesome Auburn news that's been going on, a lot of great Auburn stuff going around the plains in other athletics, but yesterday, huge news break in the world of college football as Nick Saban has announced his retirement from coaching football. And as an Auburn fan myself, and I'm sure a lot of you Auburn fans watching as well, were very ecstatic about the news and still will be remaining to do so until they eventually name a coach. Right now, I think the favorite's Dan Lanning. But I'm holding out hope that Brian Harsin or Butch Jones or Billy Napier will want to step up and take that job. But it's neither here nor there. Nick Saban has officially announced his retirement, and the future looks very bright for Auburn football, not just because Saban's retired, just for other reasons as well. But Saban does open up a lot of possibilities for additions to this roster. Now that Saban's is gone, the players have 30 days to see if they want to test the portal and enter it and exit out or transfer elsewhere, which is going to be huge. And a lot of the recruits have already stepped up and kind of said their thoughts on the retirement, because at this point of college football, it's no longer about coming to the school for the school. You'll have some people say they came to the campus and absolutely loved it. I love the environment around the school. I love the education. Now it's kind of like I want to play for a coach who's going to do what's best for me. And that's why you see Nick Saban doing so well in the recruiting world, because those players know how great he is. And it's without mention, because I haven't said it already, Nick Saban is the greatest coach of all time. I'll give him his flowers. He is the greatest coach that has ever graced the sports. He's got so many championships, and of course you hate him because he wins. But it's without mention that Nick Saban is one of the most. If he wasn't coaching Alabama, he would be one of the most likable coaches in the country. Him and Miss Terry are just a power couple of the Southeast, and I hope they enjoy their retirement. Saban immediately way more likable now that he is out of the realm of Alabama, which did leave Bama fans a little on the depressed side, as a lot of them were having a seance in front of the Nick Saban statue, leaving oatmeal cream pies, bags of ice, an open red velvet cake, a lot of Coke bottles, and a get well soon balloon, which is very weird for a guy who only just retired. Auburn fans reacted very reasonably. They went and rolled Toomer's Corner. And the rest of college football applauds, as they were also going buck wild for this news. But yeah, just to start off the show, I had to bring that up just because talk about it. It's some of the greatest news ever, especially for a program who's on the up and up. Alabama has a very tough schedule next year, and they're going to be going in it without Nick Saban and probably without a couple of players that they added to this roster over the offseason, and maybe just on this team in general. So very interesting offseason for both schools both SEC schools in the state of Alabama. And it kind of opens up just who exactly they're going. I've heard Dabo Swinney, I've heard Kirby Smart, I've heard every name under the sun. If you've won 10 games in a season before, there's probably a good chance that Alabama considers you for a second. Just trying to find anyone who can continue the legend that is Nick Saban. But yeah, I'll give him his flowers. Greatest coach to ever play, but love that he's gone. It's without mentioning that I love that Nick Saban has announced his retirement. And with Nick Saban retiring, it left some questions in the air on a couple of players who Auburn had been recruiting well before the whole signing day period and whatnot. One of those players he reclassified from class 2025 to class 2024 into and did not sign with Alabama on National Signing Day because he was not. I don't believe he was old enough, is what I believe, to sign that in the early signing period. So he's going to sign in the late signing period. Well, the coach he was committed to retired, and now he is decommitted and is fully open to come to his school that he's already been crystal balled twice to, which is, and who I'm talking about is one Ryan Williams, a 5-star wide receiver out of Saraland. 6 foot 165. This kid is a dog. He's the number 3 wide receiver in the class. He's the number 2 wide receiver in the state of Alabama. And if Auburn were to pull off this signee, they would have the number 1 rated wide receiver class in college football history since 24/7 started recording these statistics. And it's just wild to think of. Everyone already assumed that Ryan Williams was going to come down between Auburn and Alabama. And now that it seems like it's in reach, it's very awesome to see. And of course, it comes at the dismay of Nick Saban retiring, which I can't say I shed a single tear for him leaving. I have seen this man dismantle the team that I call myself a fan of since 2009. Him leaving and me being happy that he retired is an understatement. It's up there in terms of greatest news I've ever received in my life thus far. I thank everybody who tweeted it out because I saw 7 in a row, which told me it was true. But yeah, Ryan Williams is going to be signing later this month or February, whatever early signing, the next signing period. I think it's the first week of February is what I want to say. I think the 9th. But it'll be huge. It will be huge if he were to stick with his second option at the time. But Auburn, if Auburn were to pick up Ryan Williams again, it'd be outstanding. You took your biggest position of need, and you flipped it in one recruiting class, picking up not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6. And I'm counting Dylan Gentry because that kid looks legit based on his highlights. 6 quality wide receivers and Cam Coleman and Ryan Williams and Perry Thompson and Malcolm Simmons and Bryce Kane and again Dylan Gentry because I have to mention him as much as possible. Just turning that room into a position that Auburn can look at into a place of development, a place where you can show your improvement, to show that you've made changes to a program that into a fan base that deserves it. Now all that's left to do is to either get a quarterback or develop a quarterback. One of those easier than the other. But now it's time for Hugh Freeze to really prove himself. You have Peyton Thorne, you have Holden Gardner, you have Hank Brown, you have Walker White. Take those guys and develop them into a good quarterback. Develop him into someone who can turn this team into an 8-win team, into a 9-win team, into whatever it can accomplish as a team. Because now you're bringing in 6 wide receivers. You're bringing in 7 if you count or 8 if you count the transfers in Sam Jackson the fifth and Robert Lewis. You're finding positions of need and you're shifting it. You're turning them into positions to be proud of. And the wide receiver core that's coming in, it looks legit. And time will tell how true the rankings in these are, because these are just numbers put together by people that spend way more time and watching these guys than I ever could dream of. Time will tell if this wide receiver room can really turn into something special, but it's hard to ignore that on paper this is the most special wide receiver group. And if you bring in Ryan Williams, because he's already been crystal ball twice, I'm going to speak as if Ryan Williams is going to commit and sign, just kind of manifest it. This would be the most special wide receiver room that anyone's ever seen in college football. Again, it's just you're not bringing in just the top wide receiver in the state of Alabama. You're bringing in the second best wide receiver in the state of Alabama. You're bringing in the third best wide receiver in the state of Alabama. You have an opportunity to turn this into a very, very, very bright future for this offense that seemed to be so lost without purpose for what was going on. And you're now turning it into something that Auburn fans everywhere are over the moon about. And it's just awesome. It's the greatest feeling ever. Now, all that's left to do is maybe get some more depth. Maybe just get a little bit more depth. That'd be fun. But also get some coordinators. I know we have Charles Kelly. I presume I've been hearing that he'll be co-DC alongside Zach Etheridge, but then at that point you have to get a secondary coach, and then find an OC. I've already heard the rumors, and it's been reported by ESPN that Hugh Freeze is going to take over play calling in 2024. Everyone and their mama knew that since Philip Montgomery left out of Auburn. Hugh Freeze is in put up and shut up mode. I'm saying that to say he doesn't have to live up to high standards in year two, but with the group coming in, it's going to be kind of hard not to raise your expectations of the offense, which I do believe we have ample. The Auburn fans have ample reason to do so. You are bringing in more talent than you had last year at the wide receiver position. You're adding depth to the tight end position with Rico Walker. You're getting depth in some of the offensive linemen you're bringing in. All you have to do is develop a quarterback, and that's the strength of your head coach, is to develop quarterbacks at the collegiate level. And you have one guy in Peyton Thorne who has the experience in the SEC now. Turn him into a good, consistent starter in the SEC. And of course, if Holden Garner, Hank Brown, and Walker White work out too, sure, why not? Whoever gives this team the better chance to win, develop them into someone special. And then also develop the guys behind him as well, because they're all much younger than Peyton Thorne is. But yeah, just clearing it all up. Ryan Williams decommitting within, I want to say, a couple hours of the news breaking. Is just huge, especially for Auburn fans everywhere. And to see if and again, I don't know when it'll be, when the dam breaks on some of the transfer portal guys. If any of these guys try to request to remove their NLI, there's a chance if they hire Dan Lanning that we don't see as much water leak over the dam, and rather it break, because Dan Lanning is a very good coach. And a very good team. He's a very good player coach too. The players love him at Oregon. There's a good chance maybe we don't see the dam break if they do hire someone along those lines. But it's hard for me to believe that a lot of these players wouldn't want to go elsewhere. And I'm not just saying just Auburn, but anywhere really. So it's gonna be a fun couple of days for every football fan out there. And other news for Auburn football: Cam Stutz is going to the FBS All-American Tropical Bowl in Orlando, Florida. So like another Senior Bowl type game. There's a few of those all around the place. So trying to keep up with all of those. And another news headline: Brian Battie has announced that he is returning to the team. Just a week or so after he entered the transfer portal, he is back on the Plains. I've heard word that it could be something about Auburn not picking up Judkins, so he came back. It could be anything, really. I don't really know what. I'm not too high on the fact of him of his chances of playing a lot next year outside of the kick returner position, which I would love it if he maybe paid more attention to where he was in the end zone before he started running them all out. But with Jeremiah Cobb coming back for year two, Damari Alston as a true junior, and Jarquez Hunter coming back for his last year, it's hard for me to believe that Brian Battie goes up any higher than running back 4. Jeremiah Cobb just absolutely shined whenever he was given the opportunity to. Brian Battie just had moments where he just didn't look ready for SEC. And he had a lot of moments in the kick return game where he did not look like he was an All-American at that position. So it'd be very interesting to see how he fits back in this offense, because I do believe that Jeremiah Cobb is going to fill the role that Brian Battie was supposed to play. That's just how good Jeremiah Cobb is. But yeah, I really don't see Brian Battie being that much of a factor in the offense next year. I know it's not like a huge disparity to say, because again, he never really surmounted to where we expected him to be coming in as an All-American, as all this like awesome kick returner and this playmaker. But then again, this offense had no identity. So if one does find an identity, maybe something will change in that. But yeah, that's pretty much all the football news we have today. Before we get to the basketball, because if you've not watched the basketball game against Texas A&M, you missed out on a fun one. But before we get into that, I just want to let you know, thank y'all for watching, listening, liking, rating all of wherever you are watching or listening to the show. If you're in the chat, go ahead and let me know write in the comments who you think Alabama's going to hire as their next head coach. What do you think the chances are that Auburn picks up Ryan Williams? And of course, leave a like. It helps support the show. Let us know you love to watch it and love what you see. And if you want another way to support the show, we have one for you. It does cost a little bit of money. It costs $25, but it is the War Report sponsored Feeling Loopy t-shirts. Only $25 on the warreport.com. Comes in 5 different colorways. It's navy, heather navy, black, heather black, and midnight heather gray. It's the most comfortable shirt you are ever going to wear. 100% guaranteed, because I love it. My girlfriend loves it. I know Tara loves it. Colin loves his. Everyone who has ever worn the Feeling Loopy shirt has sent raving reviews about how great of a shirt it is. So if you're looking for a shirt for this holiday season, and it's always holiday season, if you want to surprise your significant other with a awesome Valentine's Day gift, because Valentine's Day is only a month away, why not get them their own Feeling Loopy t-shirt? Show the love. Show how you're feeling for them. There you go. Get them a nice War Report sponsor Feeling Loopy t-shirt. And once you get yours in the mail, you can let us know by using our hashtag Feeling Loopy, feeling without the G, on any of your social media platforms. Make sure you tag us as well. That way you know we can see it. And once we see it, we'll put it up in the StreamYard and give a nice little shout out on the show to show our love for you showing your love to us. So, and without further ado, getting into basketball. If you did not bear witness to Auburn's win over Texas A&M on the 9th, which was I believe, a Tuesday. There we go. Auburn took down Texas A&M 66-55 in an awesome and very fun game. It was not fun for a little bit because it got very close, but Auburn did find a way, and that way was with Jalen Williams, who put up 22 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists in the game against Texas A&M. He played 35 minutes, and he ran the court for every single second of those minutes. He only missed 2 shots from the field. He missed 1 free throw out of his 2. He was the best player on the court. No matter where he was the best player on the court. And that was very evident from the start. There was a dunk he had where I swear he was trying to break the rim. When we see this side of Jalen Williams, when we see what his true potential, it's the best feeling in the world to know that we have this guy on our team. He's been here for 5 years. He has gotten 100 career wins. He's got over 1,000 points. He's done all of these great accolades. And to see him play with the confidence he's been playing over the last few weeks is just the best. He is, he's a fan favorite for a reason. He's a leader. He's just consistent. He was the best player on the court last night. And that's that. I mean, and then to go around, Janai Broom had a very slow start at first, but ended up getting double-digit points with 10. 8 of those points coming from the free throw line, which is wild to think that Janai Broome actually shot 80% from the free throw line. Actually, the team shot 80% from the free throw line as well as Janai Broome. Janai also had 7 rebounds, 2 assists, also had 4 blocks from that game against Texas A&M. Just a great defensive effort all around. Held Texas A&M to 55 points. Held Wade Taylor, who is averaging 18 points a game, to only 8 points. All 8 of those points coming in the second half, and half of those points coming from the free throw line. And Auburn just did a great job of shutting that down. It did start off a little the rebounds. The words are hard. The rebounding was a little bit wonky at times. Auburn couldn't really get the offensive rebounds to get second chance points. Scratch that. Couldn't get the offensive rebounds to shut down Texas A&M possessions, and they were able to shut them down defensively. It was just an all-around game. It doesn't look like they win the scoreboard. Only 66 points. Auburn didn't really shoot well from the three-point line. Neither did Texas A&M. And it's also worth noting, A&M did not score a single point for the last 9 minutes and 15 seconds of the game. This is an immaculate performance from the Auburn Tigers, the number 16 team in the country, who I believe is very, very underrated for what they've done. If you're not aware of why being an unranked 6-5 loss, then A&M team is so important. The last few years, we've seen Buzz Williams in this A&M team, and this A&M team was very old. So the same A&M team just find ways to just take down an Auburn team that was always more talented. Auburn lost 3 games in a row. I think it was like the disparity was 1-5 for Auburn against A&M. The last 6 matchups, it was 2-8 in the last 10. Auburn could not find a way to beat Texas A&M. Bruce Pearl could not find a way to scheme around Buzz Williams. And Buzz gave Auburn their flowers, as you should whenever you get shut down. And it's the fair thing to do. And Buzz Williams is the stand-up guy. I think everyone learned that Buzz Williams is not an unlikable guy. It's just, I hate that he beats us. I hate that he beats Auburn. And then he turns around and he says it's the greatest environment he's ever coached in, which it was. And I salute every Auburn student who was in attendance for that game, because it was evident that the crowd was just so involved in that, and the shirts were awesome. If you could send me an scam looking link to the shirt to buy, that'd be great. I know a lot of people were sending me scam links in my comment I asked for. So if you know how to get one of those Bruce Pearl shirts that's not a scam, that'd be great. J&M, Auburn Bookstore, Tumors, if you're also listening, it wouldn't be a bad idea to just make those shirts. And then I would come to Auburn. I'm coming to Auburn on Friday for the gym meet that I'll talk about in a second. And I will, without a doubt, buy one of those shirts. So if you want my money, make those Bruce Pearl shirts, because they're just awesome. But yeah, this is I don't want to say it's an A+ performance because of the scoring just being such a low light, but beating a team that you struggle with by double-digit points, just completely owning them. I mean, KD Johnson put up 14 points. KD Johnson was the second leading scorer in this team on Tuesday. It was just wild. And then he didn't really get a good performance from Chad Baker-Mazara. Only had 2 points, but he also filled up his entire box score with blocks and steals and assists and rebounds and fouls. It was just an all-around performance defensively. And it kind of just shows the levels of this team. This team is either going to beat you by 15 or it's going to beat you close, but it's going to shut you down offensively. And that's just a great factor this team has going forward. And luckily Auburn has 2, I don't want to say easy, but 2 lower in the ranks SEC teams, lower in talent SEC teams up next. They play LSU on the 13th, which is, of course, Saturday. and they will be playing LSU. And LSU is currently 9-5. They've had a pretty favorable non-con slate. They beat Texas A&M as well. They beat Vanderbilt, who's Auburn's next opponent. But looking at LSU, they have some things to do very well. They have 3 players who are putting up double-digit points, and they have a good chunk of players who play in double-digit minutes. And I'm going to count them out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players in the 10 or more points. But you only really have about 9 of those who play in the 17 plus category. Player to look out for is, of course, Jordan Wright, who's putting up 50 points a game through 15 games. You also have Jalen Cook, who's putting up 16 points through 5 games that he's been playing. Jalen Cook also throwing up a lot of assists, getting a good amount of rebounds. It's gonna have to be another game where Auburn just kind of shows out, just with their court, their environment that they have, and just playing their brand of basketball the right way. And that's what we've seen from this Auburn team thus far. I don't think this team has played their best brand of basketball yet, because we've not seen this team consistently just like play against SEC yet. We're only 3 games in. It'll be interesting to see, especially going before we get into Vanderbilt. I do think Auburn is going to beat LSU. I think it just comes down to Auburn just playing like Auburn does. It's going to come down to the bench players, KD Johnson, Chad Baker-Mazara, showing off, and I see it every week, show off your depth. Every week we hear Bruce Pearl hype up the depth of this team. This team goes 10 deep. Prove it every week, every game. Prove that your 10 is better than the other team's 10. And I think Auburn has done a very good job of that thus far. And this game again is going to come down to showing that off. Chad Baker-Mazara and KD Johnson, Dylan Cardwell have all provided very good performances off the bench. And of course, it wouldn't hurt for Aiden Holloway to find a shot again. I know he had 2 very good 3-pointers against Texas A&M early on in the game, but after that, just cold streak, 0 for 4 to end the game, 2 for 6 overall. And we've learned that this Auburn team, it doesn't need the 3-point shot to win games. It's just nice. It's a nice commodity to have. So, but I think Auburn's going to win this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout of immense proportions. I know that LSU has beaten A&M in College Station by 15. I'm gonna say Auburn's gonna win this game. I'll probably do as I did last time. I'll probably give it a 70 to like a 69 to 59. Give it a nice 10-point win. Just another, I don't want to say a gross performance, but another great defensive performance. I hope I'm on the lower side of the score predictions, just so Auburn can get their offense back on track from that last performance. But yeah, and more on that on the Sunday live stream, or we'll be reviewing Auburn's performance for LSU as well. In Auburn women's basketball news, they're going to travel to Oxford to play Ole Miss today as the show comes out. Sorry, I was out of it for today. It is almost 1 o'clock in the morning as I am recording this. Auburn, fresh off of 2 consecutive losses to SEC opponents. Ole Miss is 1-1 after they beat Alabama. It's going to be a very tough game. Ole Miss is a very good basketball team. Same overall record that Auburn has. I think this comes down to the fact that it's not in Neville Arena. Hopefully Coach Jay gets the team on the right track. I don't think it happens here. I do think it's Ole Miss, just until this team can figure itself out. And I think they'll figure it out eventually. I think it's a little too early in the season for you. I'll just say Ole Miss, but not by a large margin. And then also on Friday, Auburn Gymnastics is having their first home meet of the 2024 season. They'll be playing number 9 Kentucky at 7:30 p.m. on Friday. I'll be there. So if you see me, I'm going to be in the standing room with my girlfriend. If you see me, come say hello. Come take pictures, whatever you want to do. Talk ball, any of that jazz. But I will be there. I'll be enjoying it. It's Disney night. So if anyone wants to snag my girlfriend a pair of the ears, that'd be great. But yeah, I don't know how likely it is Auburn wins this meet. I think it comes down to can they consistently perform on the vault and the beam, which the beam was something they struggled with in the Mean Girls Super 16 meet that they did, the quad meet versus UCLA, Cal, and Alabama. The beam was a very tough portion of the meet, and it's what ultimately cost Auburn the win. The vault looked very good, as opposed to what it was last year. Stay consistent, stay vigilant, and making sure that you can continuously perform well in those aspects of the matches. And then last bit of news before we get out of here, in equestrian news, Gregg Williams, former coach Gregg Williams, has been inducted into the NCEA Hall of Fame inaugural class. And if you didn't know who Gregg Williams is, I believe he is getting, he has a star on the Auburn Walk of Fame thing. I don't know exactly what that's called. But he's probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, college equestrian coach of all time. He's has several championships in his name, several SEC championships. He's one of the most winningest coaches in the sport's history. He is just an all-around great dude, great coach, and a very, very deserving member of the Hall of Fame class for the NCEA. But with that, that's pretty much all I have. And just get a nice little round of applause that Nick Saban has retired. Wish him the best in his retirement, and I'm so glad that he is gone. But yeah, with that, I'm Dylan Larck, @YaBoyTank on Twitter/X. You can follow me there @YaBoyTank, @YaBoy the Tank. Also have an Instagram as well at Dylan Larck, DYLANLARCK. And of course, you have me right here in the College League, which like, comment, subscribe. Leave your thoughts on the Nick Saban retirement. Leave your thoughts on Ryan Williams. Leave your predictions for Auburn, LSU, and Auburn women's basketball and Ole Miss. And of course, if you're tired of watching us, there you go. If you're tired of watching us, you go listen to us as well. You have us on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast as well. And of course, you have us on every single social media as well: Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the works. All of those at The College Loop. It is very late. It is 12:57 in the morning as I am finishing up. And with all of that being said, this has been the College Loop Podcast. This Tarzan here. I'll do it for him. Love you guys.